Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you.
Thank you.
So to get us started, I'm going to introduce Dr. Jacob Pendergrast, who is going to be your host and MC for the rest of the afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much to all of you for joining us on what is truly a momentous and historic occasion. And I look forward to joining with all of you every year to celebrate this day. And I think it is, again, worth remarking. This is the first celebration of National Sickle Cell Day in Canadian history. Canada is the first country in the world to recognize the country officially, recognize the event officially. So let's recognize that moment. It's quite a day. And we're also blessed to have so many dignitaries coming to speak to us today on the occasion. They are numerous. We have 10 people coming to make remarks, so I'm grateful to them to zeroing right in on the most cogent parts of their remarks, just a few minutes each. But I do really look forward to hearing their perspectives, each and every one of them. We'll start with Landry Tunji-Ajayi making a few remarks to begin with. So Landry.
Welcome again to the second part of today's event. I'd like to recognize, all the dignitaries here today. Like Jacob said, they are numerous. And while we may not mention each individual by name, I'd like to recognize the presence of Councillor James Pasternak, who is the councillor for Skego's ward. Thank you. And he's the one that sponsored us today at the City Hall. I also see coming Councillor Michael Thompson, a friend of the sickle cell community. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. As Dr. Pendergrast said, today is a special day, is a historic day. Today is a day that we as a community coming together to celebrate a milestone in our country. And as I mentioned outside when we were having the flag raising event, that we must not conclude today if we do not recognize the advocacy work of the Sickle Cell Disease International Organization, the support that Republic of Congo and the Republic of Senegal, the African Union, World Health Organization, UNESCO, United Nations provided by recognizing that sickle cell disease is a public health priority and designating a day in the world to celebrate and raise awareness of sickle cell disease. You see, we must also recognize that the Sickle Cell Disease Association of Canada and its member organizations, including Skego, work together and push forward for a bill. We must recognize that Senator Jane Curdy and Member of Parliament Darrell Fisher, who is now here today, worked very hard to support this bill that made us to be here today, Bill S-211, being passed as the law. We got support from many senators, members of parliament, but MP Darrell Fisher and Senator Cardi pushed this forward for us. So we must thank them. We must recognize this. Thank you. Before I go into my remarks, I want to tell you a few facts. The first one is that the first time that sickle cell disease was ever mentioned on the Parliament Hill, it was done by Honorable Jean Augustine in 1997. That was the first time ever. And we must recognize that. It's a fact that we must go home with today. And the first time that awareness will be done on the Parliament Hill, it was 3 organizations that did that. That was in 2010. That was the Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario, Heglinton Sickle Cell Foundation under Bodo Macaulay's leadership, and the step-by-step Foundation for Organ Donation. And at that time, we held a press conference. That was in 2010. We held a press conference on the Parliament Hill. 4 people walked from Ottawa to Toronto to raise awareness. And today we have with you, come over here. We have 4 people that did the work. I couldn't do it. He was one of them. We thank you and we recognize you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to also declare that before today, a few regions in our province here in Ontario have recognized June 19, including the city of Toronto, the city of Markham, and the town of Ajax. We also have some school boards, the Toronto Public and Catholic School Board, Hamilton Catholic and Public School Board, Durham Catholic and Public School Board, Peel Catholic and Public School Board that have also designated at one time or the other June 19 as World Sickle Cell Day. However, for me, I would like to say that the journey for Bill S211 and this day started in 2008 when the then leader of the Liberal Party, Stephen Dion, came to one of Skego's gala with the now Minister of Science, Honorable Minister Kirsten Duncan. At that time, she was not yet in politics, but she was aspiring. And she said, I want to help. What can I do? In 2010, she called me and she said, Lanre, what can we do? That call led to Dr. Dami and Dr. Melanie Kirby. Dr. Dami, can you wave, let people see who you are? It led to the drafting of the first bill for sickle cell disease that we get to the Parliament Hill. That was Bill C-605. Unfortunately, that bill did not become law. And you know why? Skego was provincial. We couldn't push national agenda. Luckily for us, SCDAC got birthed. In 2012, we got the Sickle Cell Disease Association of Canada, and that national voice pushed forward advocacy and education. On October 29, 2013, the SCDAC held its first National Advocacy and Education Day on the Parliament Hill. And at that day, many of our delegates were being asked, what is sickle cell disease? Who does it affect? What is this disease? People didn't know what it was. So we knew we got a job to do. We need to educate our policymakers if they must make policies to support our cause. They need to know. So the journey started. We had that day. And on that day, the now Minister of Science, Minister Duncan, introduced me to Senator Jim Cardi. And Senator Cardi said, Lanre, how can I help? And I said, yes, we got work to do. So that meeting, we met, and we started to talk about a bill. And that was Bill S211. So I'm giving a bit of history here. We're talking about Bill 211 and the drafting. At SCDAC, that time I was the president of SCDAC. On our board, some of our board members felt that, how do we use resources to just get one day. We can put numerous asks on the bill. We need comprehensive care, we need funding, we need research money. But Senator Curtis said, Lanore, let's take one thing at a time. And I agreed with her. So she said, let's get a day enacted first. It's a bit easier. Let's do that. And that will open the gate. They will open the door for other asks. So Bill S-211 was drafted and was introduced, and it passed as law on December 12, 2017. I would like to pause to really appreciate Senator Jim Cordy again, and MP Darrell Fisher, Honorable Minister Duncan, and all the senators and members of parliament that pushed and supported to get this bill to pass. You see, I say this because in 2013, when SDSA had its first Advocacy Day, to 2016, 2017, during the proceedings of the Bill S-211, I was elated to see how the members of parliament, who in 2013 had no clue about sickle cell, was presenting on sickle cell disease in the House of Commons. It was beautiful to see, and I was watching CPAC one evening, and I'm like, wow, on sickle cell, at the Parliament Hill, we've raised awareness. Our policymakers know sickle cell disease now. And that is a huge milestone. Folks, we couldn't do it without you, the parents, the families. Today, all across this province, there is awareness going on. This city hall will be lit red this evening. CN Tower, Exhibition Place, Hamilton is having events everywhere. And even all across our country, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, all over, awareness is happening. Social media is huge. And it's because of all of you, the peers and the families. You are our heroes. You're the reason why we are here today. And I can tell you that with the National Sickle Cell Day that is now being enacted in our country, is the beginning of great things to happen for our community. Is the beginning of comprehensive care for our children and our adults with sickle cell. There will be reduced stigma when they present in the hospitals for their care. As many of you know, our patients are being branded drug seekers most of the time due to ignorance. This day will open more education. It will open up, and people will learn and they will know more that they're not drug seekers. This is the treatment that they need. It's about education, it's about awareness. And I know that today is the beginning. With the estimated 5,000 Canadians living with sickle cell disease, half of them in Ontario, I'm encouraging you today that let today be a new beginning, whereby you can go back to work. You can go back to your families and to your friends and ask them, have you been tested for sickle cell disease? Do you know your sickle cell status? Let's start and keep the conversation going. And I'm confident that if we do this, we will move closer to educating every Ontarian and every Canadian on sickle cell disease. June 19 is allowing us to talk about our stories and our struggles. And I thank you for being here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Landry, for those remarks. And it is amazing when you reflect back on what a group effort it has been and what an amazing long journey it has been to get to this moment where we are recognizing sickle cell disease with an official holiday, an official national day. It is an amazing thing. I think it's also really important to remember that all of this is for the benefit of the patients with sickle cell disease, those who are living with it every day. people who are not always part of the political efforts and the administrative undertakings to get to this moment, but who are affected directly by this. And I think it would be most appropriate if we began our remarks from our invited speakers today to invite one of those patients to the podium to talk about what life with sickle cell disease is like. And Tanya Williams will be speaking to give us perspective of the patient with sickle cell. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Dr. Pendergrass. So yes, I am Tanya Williams. This day for me is a lot. It's great. It's exciting. I was born with sickle cell at the tender age of 1 in the 70s. And it seems like this day would never have gotten here. My family went through so much. I remember just being the guinea pig, trying new things, new strategies, new ideas. Sometimes not even being understood in regards to how to receive care, especially in those moments when care was needed immediately. This day actually opens up so many doors to bring change to that, to bring change to how we get treated, to bring change to how patients in the future, patients now get treated for. I'm excited. I wish my parents were here just so they could actually see, because they went through a lot in regards to appointments, in regards to just going to a different doctor. I remember specifically, I think I was 10, and a doctor seen my low hemoglobin, and they told my mom to come into a separate room, and I won't forget the day. It was interesting. And they told my mom, you know what, I don't think she's gonna make it. They told her I was gonna die, and I won't forget my mom coming in the car and just starting crying, buckets and buckets, because they didn't understand that an individual like me, born with sickle cell, will have a low hemoglobin. So it was normal. But they terrified my mother. So my mom cried her eyes out for her baby girl. And I was like, Mom, I think we should call sick kids. And I had a nurse at a time. Back then we had nurses assigned to us. So I had a nurse at the time, her name was Nancy. And we called her up and she was like, oh no, Miss Williams, everything's fine, she's okay. And now I could actually fast forward 40 years later, well, 30 years later, I'm 40. 30 years later. And now I don't actually have to feel that dread anymore, in the sense of when I go to a different doctor, they're not gonna tell my kids this time, yeah, your mom's dying. You know, it's now a recognizable, so to speak, disease. Like, we're getting there, we're not fully there yet. I do feel like there's some hospitals that need to catch on still, but we're there, like we are there. And I just thank God, like, for our healthcare providers, you know, that take the time to actually do the research, you know, Kevin Quo, Dr. Pendergrass, Dr. Ward, the whole unit at TGH, that's where I go, so I'm just gonna talk about them for a little bit. So I appreciate the time and the effort that they take to actually put in the work behind it all. And even, I'm gonna stand here as well as the president of SCAGO. I wanna thank our volunteers. Without our volunteers, we would be nothing. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes us. It takes us individuals that live with the disease. It takes us individuals who know someone that has the disease to spread awareness. How else are they gonna know if you keep it a secret and keep it swept under the rug? We need to let everyone know, and the volunteers that we have are awesome. They do a great job coming out and spreading awareness, and we just wanna thank you from SCAGO. I wanna thank you, and it's not only for your family, but it's for me. It's for my family. It brings hope to me. I'm able to wake up every day with hopes that the children that are being born with sickle cell won't have to go through what I went through. And that's just the most awesome thing. So Senator Jane Cody and all the other politicians and delegates that have helped us so far, we thank you. We appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I think, the perspective of the patient who has lived their whole lives with the condition is so important to always remember when we're reminding ourselves, why are we doing this? Why are we fighting so hard for this? But another really important perspective is the parent of a child who is born with sickle cell disease, and who is going to be there to raise that child and protect that child as best they can through some very, very difficult years, particularly during childhood. And it's something that we need to acknowledge and really respect. It's quite a journey to go on as a parent, to raise any child, but to raise a child with a chronic genetic condition is especially challenging, and something that we also need to really appreciate. And to speak to that perspective, could I have Heather Toppin come to the podium to give a few words?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to come and speak to everybody as a parent of someone that suffers with sickle cell disease, and let you know that it's a very difficult thing to go through, especially when you don't have the information. My daughter was diagnosed in 10 days before her 3rd birthday, and back then the hospital for sick kids was just starting up a clinic to follow sicklers, as they're known in our community, and to give information, with other organizations around, just to help and support for the community. And that's over time, a few years after that, that's when I learned about SCAGO. So to Lanray, I want to say thank you very much, because you've been a pillar in our community to help us get information. It's difficult because you take time off of work, you take time out of your schedule to make sure that they're cared for as best as you can. Sometimes it's difficult to explain to just, your employer, right? So we need this recognition in the community to help us just facilitate proper care in the hospitals. That's really poignant. There is now an adult clinic at Toronto General. There is also that information that is given out to the community. And so with those two hospitals, those are the base. But if you're going to any other hospitals, a lot of the time your child will go in and they think that the child is, faking that, maybe, especially if they're a teenager, you can run into the aspect of them thinking that, okay, maybe they're an addict because they're asking for the medication that they're asking for to treat the pain. And that in itself is very difficult because there's that stigma attached to it. So with this awareness, it's a good thing. We start the conversation, we get people talking, and things will move forward. So I'm very thankful for this day.